Oh, hi there. I've had this video on for a couple minutes, just waiting for 1 o'clock. So 1 o'clock is here, and welcome to my studio. I'll show you around a little bit, but mostly I want to show you the art and walk you through how I do some of the things. I have with me my good friend Michael Schwegman. He's delicious. If you get a chance, check out his pottery. I always like to drink coffee with my friends. All right, let's see. We've got this piece here. We'll start with the piece that's on the easel. I finished this one up last week. Lately, I've been liking to take a fragment of a song lyric or a story and take it out of context. This one is Stagger Lee from the great old blues song. I'll play that one here in a moment as soon as the iTunes music here loads up. But I did this, this is an old blues song. All of the different artists that recorded it through the years are represented in the background. Everybody from Bo Diddley and Jerry Lee Lewis, Big Mama Thornton, Chuck Berry, got some Johnny Cash in there as well. A lot of different people recorded different versions of that song. This is my take on it. It's Stagger Lee as death, raining death down on Billy Lyons. If you'll notice, here, I'll show you a couple of things here about this piece. You know, you've got the whiskey, you've got his bulldog barking, you have the roll of the dice, all adding a little bit of color here for the back of the piece. But it's all hand-drawn. I'm using ink pens, and lately I've been using some brushes too, so more mixed media than I used to be. I used to use even some markers and pens. I've found a lot more energy and line quality with brushes than I used to. So look at that piece for a second. I'll fire up some music. We'll see how this goes. Oh, hi, I'm back. All right, so we've got all sorts of things happening in this piece. Everything. Oh, we've got some questions. Can we answer those? Hey, what's going on? There we got Chris Jackson. Ty. Coffee's there. Yeah, it's coffee. I promise. It's always coffee when you're drinking with Michael Schwegman. All right, let's turn this down. So, interesting little piece that I've done. I'll show you some more of the work that I've been doing lately, too. Again, a little fragment of Stagger Lee, taking that song lyric out of context, drawing all of my things in, using some different brushes, graphite, a lot more mixed media than I used to be. So one of my favorite places to go in the country is Fort Worth, Texas. Should have been there last weekend. Didn't get to go there last weekend. It was closed down because of the pandemic. Everybody stayed at home like they should. They were very good, right? So I called this piece Waiting or Canceling Cowtown. The cowboy sitting here at the bar, drinking by himself, the horse looking over his shoulder off of the wall. It's kind of a theme that I've used before where the guy's been sitting at the bar, but I've never had him dead before, I guess. So just kind of my idea, playing a little bit of humor along with the fact that so much is going on that's not funny. So anyway, the cowboy here, his jukebox, all of the different songs that you'll see in the background. Today I started Loving You Again. It's an old Merle Haggard song. Help me make it through the night. All help tell the story that I'm trying to get across. I lay a collage work down first. I do all of my line work with pencil. Go back in with a little bit of ink on top of that. Then I finish off the piece with a little bit of varnish. After I've done my graphite and my loose shading with ink or acrylic. I can't level this out. There's my wife's bike. She hasn't ridden it in years. Here's something new I started doing this year. I thought I'd have one ready for Chicago. But I'm taking these old classic recording studios and trying to tell a story. I always like to put a little bit of red in my work to draw your eye to the piece. So this one I decided to float on red and use the yellow of the Sun record label down in Memphis, Tennessee. So the old juke joint, it's an old alleyway down here. Doing this almost like an old cartoon. Elvis's mic, music coming straight out of the cotton fields. Like Johnny Cash said, never picked cotton. All of this piece is done on sheet music. I've laid the sheet music down first, sealed it, painted in the red on top. You can still see the music shining through if you get right up close to it. But I have one, I was saying, I'm trying to do all of the old classic. I'd say there's 4 that I love the most. 2 of them are down in Memphis. You got Stax, Sun record label, go on up to Motown in Michigan, and then you go over to Chicago and do chess. I've done chess before, but I've got a piece planned out that I want to do for, I'll actually send it over to Jackson Young too as soon as it's done. So anyway, more of a comic book kind of style feel. I've been trying to tell narratives with my work and go I am a big storyteller. They're very illustrative, and you know, I like to tell the full story. All right, you guys look at that. I'll be right back. All right, we've got that. We've got hecklers. That's good. Thank you, Evelyn. I appreciate that about the color. It's a different way for me. A lot of times I'll work with the red into the piece. This, I decided to actually work the red on top of it. The one nice thing about if you can call it a nice thing, about the extra studio time that I've had, the pandemic, is that I've had a chance to experiment a lot. So let me show you another experimental piece. Something about drawing horses. Let's pull this up a little bit. So the map that I used in the background to start this piece off, I have a relative who was a cartographer in my family tree, and it's kind of a dark history. He was assigned with drawing out some of the Native American territories out in Utah, Colorado, New Mexico. And so that's the map that I used. It's kind of an upbeat looking piece. On the front it's just horses, but then adding that map, I'm trying to acknowledge some of the darker history of this country, and I just read a couple of different books about the history and how the death of the Comanche, they were a horse tribe, and the death of the Comanche mostly took place because of the roundup and murder of all of their horses, or a lot of their horses. That's how they would control. But sorry, it's just a piece about pretty horses, though, isn't it? Yes, it is. And I'm trying to get a lot of character in there with their eyes. Trying to say as much as I can. That's the soft touch. Try to get that character. I'll show it to you a little closer here. But it's a complete departure for me, as you can tell. You see a little bit of that map there, too. You'll just have to see that one in person. Watch this fall off the easel. Hang on a second. This piece is a monster. 6 feet by 4 feet across. Represents a lot of my favorite music, everything from the Beatles. I always throw the Stones in there a couple times. They're up there in the upper, I guess that'd be, it's still your right-hand corner. Stones and Elvis, James Brown. This piece, like I said, it's huge. I love doing these record store pieces. This is just completely based off of an experience that I had down in New Orleans in the Bywater district. Went record shopping with my wife. We were down in, where was this? We'd gone to lunch or brunch at the, oh my God, the best brunch spot in the world. Elizabeth's down in the Bywater. Amazing. So we were down there and then we walked down to Euclid Records in the Bywater, right there against the river. And she was sitting there looking at records. And I just took a picture of her with my phone and had it as my screensaver. And I kept looking at it and realizing I wanted to do something with it. The background here, you've got all different posters, everything from Prince. You can kind of see him over here in the corner, peeking out. Prince and Elvis. The Stones here from Some Girls, all these different posters. The sheet music up at the top is everything you'd hear or be able to buy at a great record store. And I try to say as much as I can with as few shapes as possible when drawing in the records. This piece is available. It's 6 feet by 4 feet. Everything from Bruce Springsteen, 49 and 61, which is the famous crossroads coming out of Mississippi, which is based on this piece. I'll show you that one in a minute. Hendrix, obviously, the Beastie Boys, Prince, Marvin Gaye, Elton John, David Bowie. Johnny Cash up there. He's trying to tell you you're number one. He thinks I'm number one there. Look at that. He's a hell of a guy. Let's see, we got another one here. Elvis is on the studio. That's right. All right. There we go. Tom Petty's one of my all-time favorites. Madonna, the Ramones looking super snotty. That toilet, if you recognize that one, that's Beggar's Banquet, the Stones. My wife thinks I made her curvier here. I apologize, baby. I drew it how I saw it. But that's her looking at the Velvet Underground classic. Stax back there, Public Enemy. I threw a little Wu-Tang up there on the wall next to Tina Turner, 61, James Brown. Can you see Willie? Willie over there looking down. So anyway, all of my favorite records, all hand-drawn using different inks. With this one, I used ink and acrylic for this on top of the old record covers. Then used a little bit of acrylic wash to get my shading on that one. A little bit more kind of experimental. Show you another one here. Show you this pair here. It's down at the crossroads. And another crossroads piece. So one at the bottom is very straightforward. It's for a client. I guess it's not that straightforward. It's for a client. One of my good friends in Funky Town in Fort Worth reached out to me. I was working on this piece. He fell in love with the cowboy piece, and he was like, Will, I know you're struggling. Artists just aren't getting to be able to go to their art shows. He wanted to support me, see what I had in stock. He loved this one because it was the Crossroads, and he was like, man, I just wish this guy looked more blues and less country. And if you'll notice, this one's based off of me. Got the saggy jeans. I need to pull my pants up, probably now too. But I've got my cowboy hat on, and I'm carrying my guitar. And I'm headed off. I'm actually moving this year. So this is about being at a crossroads to me and moving on. This one is straightforward. This guy's leaving the Delta. 61 and 49. And what's kind of special about this one, my client asked me if he could have a little acknowledgement to his wife. So I put their wedding anniversary right there. December 19th, 1981. So I put that as the name of the train. Told him I couldn't change 6149 because that's the actual crossroads. If you're going to bother to sell your soul to the devil, that's where you need to go. That's the only one that works, apparently. What should I show you next? Here's a commission, another commission I did for a client. They're actually from Chicago as well. They loved my blues themes, but what they really wanted was more of a rock and roll feel. So you'll see that here. I'll get you a little closer. There you are here. All right, folks, and let's see. We've got Josh's. Chris is there. Thank you. Horses are hard, but yeah, you know what? Jason Breck is on there. He's another artist with J2, Jackson Young Gallery. I've got a super stinky IPA for that guy. That guy needs one. If you ever get a really funky one, the ones that makes you kind of screw your face up, make sure you save that one. All right. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. That's cool. All right. Ellie asked me if I have a favorite piece in my studio. I think, let's see, what is my favorite piece in my studio right now? It's the record store, for sure. Hands down. I love that record store. It's super fun to be able to get across those. And I'm kind of showing you all of mine, the horses as well. But that record store, I just love. I love doing it for folks. So sometimes I'll get commissions where people are like, hey, can you put my favorite records in there? And that can be really fun. It can also be really challenging if their music taste is... I've done my share of Neil Diamond and no, but I'm happy to do that kind of thing. I think it's fun to try to say as much as I can with as few shapes as possible. Base this guy off of kind of like, looks like he ought to be, you know, sitting in with the Ramones or kind of a Kurt Cobain kind of thing. He's got a red CBGB t-shirt on. He's got Keith Richards' skull ring and an old beat-up Jazz Master. But she was super into rock and roll and Foo Fighters and Pearl Jam and Nirvana. So I put all sorts of show posters underneath as well as the sheet music from a lot of her favorite songs. So she liked everything about this piece except for, she was like, she said, I hate the L. I used to drive downtown on the L. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to convince you. And I did. She was like, you know what? It's fine because it's there on under the bridge there. It's one of her favorite songs. So just kind of a fun 90s rock and roll kind of piece. It's total departure for me. All right, let's see what else I got here. All of my commission work is going out. I've had a lot of time to finish my commissions. I know my customers are happy. All right, now I feel kind of bad about this piece a little bit. Because if you're into the market at all, if you are into the stock market and everybody's been paying attention, I signed this piece when I finished it. March 4th, 2020. I want you to go ahead and look up and see what the market did on March 4th, 2020. The bull wasn't exactly winning that day. So I apologize to my great client, who you can see in this piece. Let's see if I can tilt this forward a little bit so you don't get the glare. You can see our good friend Michael represented right here. He wanted to be in the crowd. And I worked him and reworked him a few different times to try to get him right. And finally we're both happy with it. But I love the way the crowd is. I love doing these abstracted faces in the crowd. But the bull fighting the bear, kind of a classic battle, stock market story. All of the different pieces in the background are pieces of actual traded stocks, as well as the journal from the day that I collaged it, which was luckily a much better day in the market than the 4th of March. I think it dropped like 1,500 points that day. Sorry about that, but anyway, it's, you know, the bear's never all the way down, is ease. All right. Somebody asked here, Caitlin asked, oh, thanks, Josh. Caitlin asked where I'm moving. I'm actually moving to Santa Fe, New Mexico. So the art market is strong there still, and I'm tired of traveling around to do arts festivals. I'm going to see if I can break into that and see how that goes. My wife and I have a little cabin up in Minnesota, so we'll spend the summer there, and then we're going on directly from there to move to Santa Fe. The kids have gotten into a couple of amazing schools, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. All right. Yeah, I did the red gloves in this piece. I've done the bull and bear here before, but to do the gloves in red, really, I was kind of getting away from doing some of the red, and then I was like, man, this piece just really needs it. So, add it in there. I'll show you a couple of the blank canvases that I've got. This is just... this is how I start the work. I'll collage it first. This one is just an old newspaper with different drive-in movie theaters. I'm going to do an old drive-in. Don't be jealous, Caitlin. Just move to New Mexico. That's what all the cool kids are doing. It's a great art town. I could use an art salesperson. Don't tell Chris. All right. Let's see. Yeah, Susan and I could use an art sales rep. So if you wanted to move to New Mexico, you got a job. I'm kidding, Chris. I'm not going to steal your best person. All right. So that stuff in the background. Here's one of the first pieces I did. I was just kind of learning the ropes and learning my way. And I did a portrait of Jerry Lee Lewis, which was kind of fun. It's kind of creepy. My wife, not my wife, my daughter was like, oh my God, that ghostly creeper. But it's one of my first pieces. I was learning my ropes. Let's see, I think that's about, those are all the pieces that I've got. I can show you around the studio a little bit. I think I promised that it's kind of a dump. And it is. We're getting ready to move, like I said. The pod comes tomorrow. But you can see, got my rolls of paper. My daughters work over on the table sometimes with me. You can see these, they're toys. I mean, it's just a wreck. Look, there's all my paperwork I haven't filed. My wife doesn't even like coming out here. She'll knock on the door. I pulled all these pieces out. Now they're all over the floor. Leaned up against the wall. Stacks of pieces I haven't made. Stacks of pieces that I don't like. Also, that's just the life of an artist. Somebody's got a question. Chicago is great. All right, so if there are any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'm doing an interview with either Caitlin or Chris at 3 o'clock on Instagram. That's 3 o'clock Central Standard Time, 4 o'clock Eastern, where I'm from, here in Richmond. And I think that'll be just about it. You can watch the video, have a little more coffee. I think we're good to go. Hey, thanks again for tuning in, folks, and we'll see you on the road, hopefully. Stay healthy, wash your hands. Don't cough on anybody. God forbid. All right, I think we're good.